My name is Bernhardsen. I live on the west side of Binghamton. Right now I work at a wine and liquor store in Vestal. I have been involved in local government and local issues for, I'd say, about the last 10 years. Right? I was a legislator representing the west side of Binghamton, where we are right now, for 2 years, from 2015 to 2016. I currently serve on the Community Development Advisory Committee, which helps advise City Council and the Mayor on how they disperse HUD funding. That's become particularly important during this period of COVID, as there's been a lot of federal funding that we've had to make recommendations on how it's spent in the community for COVID relief. So that has been something that's kept me busy lately. Other than that, you know, I am originally from Afton, and my parents moved downstate for a while. I came back here for college, went to Binghamton University. I got involved in politics initially, working with OCCT, having to deal with various municipalities in that capacity as director there. And it just sort of spiraled. Once you start going to meetings, you end up getting involved, right? That's the next thing you know, you're running for office, and then doing it again. So that's my background right there.
Let's elaborate a little bit on your experiences that make you a good candidate for this position.
Okay. Yeah, I feel that, I mean, the biggest experience that has prepared me to be the county executive has been my time on the county legislature, right? Having helped put together 2 budgets, going through that whole process, right? You really see how the sausage is made. You understand what each department does in great detail. Also, my time as a county employee, right? After I was on the county legislature, I worked at the Board of Elections for a period of time, and you know, getting to see both from the legislative perspective and the perspective of a county employee, you get a good picture of how things work and don't work in county government. So,
what committees did you sit on when you were in the legislature?
Yeah, I was on the Economic Development Committee. I was on the Transportation and Public Works Committee, and I was on the Arts and Culture Committee, that one as well. So,
okay. Tell me about what sort of skills you possess that you think would make you good as a county executive.
Well, I have a good understanding of what people are actually looking for right now, I think, right? We're in a position where most people's lives are in turmoil, right? And to have a calming presence that is willing to listen to everybody, and then at the same time, you know, call out tough decisions that need to be made, right? You need to be able to balance those 2 things, and I think that I have a personality and experience and record which shows that I'm willing to do both of those things, right? We have COVID-19 completely disrupting people's lives. We have a lot of social unrest in the area, which is going somewhat unaddressed by a lot of our, especially county leaders, right? And I think that the best way to deal with that is to actually get in there and listen to people and to talk to them, right? There are like almost weekly protests, and nobody is engaging with these people, right? Nobody is talking about their concerns at the higher levels. I don't understand it. I'm certainly not saying I agree with everything that every various group that's protesting out there is talking about, but there are real concerns and fears that people have that just aren't being talked about, right? Also, I have a good understanding of what a budget actually should look like, and when a budget is put together in a way that is somewhat misleading, right? I had taken kind of a quiet approach to this campaign up until the county executive put out his proposed budget about a month ago, right? I understood that people are tired of a lot of political talk. People don't want glossy mailers that they take from their mailbox and throw into their recycling bin, right? They don't want to be bothered with that, but I have to speak out about what appears to me to be a gimmick, really, right? We're proposing that we, you know, continue leaving essential county positions unfilled while borrowing money, and then suggesting a totally nominal tax decrease, right? It just doesn't make sense. It's insulting to anybody who can do basic math, right? It doesn't serve the people. I mean, we are in a position right now, like, what is the best thing that the county can do to address COVID-19? It is to be prepared to follow state and federal directives as this situation continues to change. And we can't do that with dozens and dozens of empty positions, right? And that means making tough decisions. It means not going for 3 years of tax cuts in a row. It means saying we have to be prepared, right? I just don't understand the approach that the current administration is taking. And in the end, this election is going to be a referendum on incumbents at all levels, including our county level. And it's up to the people of Broome County to decide whether they want to see real changes in the structure of county government to right-size us, to prepare us for, you know, everything that comes ahead. I mean, for goodness sake, there was no addressing the fact that our nursing home was doing very poorly before COVID hit, and it's not doing well right now, right? There have been multiple plans for what do we do about the nursing home. Wasn't addressed, right? And to not address what's going on at a nursing home during a nationwide pandemic appears negligent to me. So sorry, I kind of went off there, but
no, that's all right. So since you're critical of so many open positions, would you support raising taxes in order to fill those open positions?
We're already in a position where we're borrowing money, right? And governments have the advantage of being able to pay back borrowed money over an exceptionally long period of time, right? And I'm all for fiscal responsibility. Fiscal responsibility is what prepares us to be able to make somewhat unpopular decisions during a crisis, right? And we have to be prepared to then go back to a slimmer budget. But we are in the middle of multiple crises, and you know, I'm not privy to each department's request. I'm not talking with every single department head, right? I don't know exactly what all of them need, but I can assume that most of them aren't getting what they need. I don't want to say that I am advocating for, you know, tax increases, but everything has to be on the table in a crisis, you know? And I know that's not the most popular thing to say, but it has to be said, you know?
What do you think are the most important issues in this campaign?
Ensuring that county government is sustainable going forward 1, 5, 10, 15 years, right? We rely so much as a local government on state and federal grants, right? And disbursements of funds from higher governmental entities. That's changing. They're running out of money. They're becoming increasingly uncooperative. We need to look at how do we make local government at every level, and especially the county level, where it is the most active and most important, in my humble opinion, as self-sufficient as it can be, right? And that means looking at the way departments are structured, looking at legacy departments, looking at where we need to do increases and cuts, right? It's a total overhaul, and we had that opportunity. We're in the middle of a crisis, and in a crisis, people are willing to accept change, and we're just letting that slide by us, right? And I'm not saying we could have fixed everything this year, but that ball needed to start rolling, right? And that, I think, is by far the most important thing facing county government going forward, is the total uncertainty of its funding structure. So,
how do you feel the county has responded in general to the COVID crisis?
The county has, in many cases, successfully followed state protocols, right? And I think that we have seen a decent management of that process, right? I'd love to, you know, point out flaws there, and there have been some. It hasn't been perfect. Nobody knew what they were doing in the beginning. This was new. You know, I think that there was some misdirection from higher agencies. There's been confusion, and I think that the people working at the county in the health department and various other organizations there have done their best throughout all of this, right? I don't I don't envy their position, right?
Why do you want to be county executive?
I want to be county executive because we need somebody who is going to actually respond to the concerns of the people, right? And who's going to look forward at the next few years, next decade, next 30 years of the future of our community, right? I'm a relatively young person. I'm 30 years old, right? I'm going to be here for quite a while, and I don't want to see my community slip into decline because we didn't make tough decisions 10 years ago, right? That's why I want to do this. I own a home here. I live here in Broome County, and my family, a portion of my family lives here too, and I want this to be the best place that it can be for us. And we can't ignore tough budget issues. We can't ignore the concerns of large groups of individuals who are clamoring for some kind of response from their elected officials and leaders, right? Where there isn't a... I want to be the county executive because I want to see actual leadership in Broome County, right? Yeah.
All right, and then my final, ultimate question, I'm sure you've already touched on this to a certain degree, but why should voters vote for you?
Because I have a plan, right? And that plan, it isn't enumerated point by point, but it is to go in and completely look at the way that the county is structured. This is something that we've needed to do for a long time. It became very apparent while I was on the county legislature, and everybody talks about it, and it just gets ignored and ignored and ignored, and we have the opportunity not to ignore the need to restructure county government and not to ignore, deep concerns that the public is expressing. So that's why.
All right, is there anything else you'd like to add that I didn't think to ask?
Yeah. Just yesterday there was a protest about the county budget and what is included there. There's been a lot of community attention on concerns about misconduct at our county jail. We have seen no, coordinated response on that from, higher county officials. There should be independent local investigations into these things. If they hold water, that's a problem. But the fact that there is even a perception and there's been no large-scale inquiry is a grave injustice.
All right, well, at this point, I'm good, unless there's something else you'd like to add.
I think that's everything I need to say.